Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally soaring over the breathtaking golden hour dawn of ancient Rome. We're going to explore how a sprawling empire, built out of gleaming marble, seemingly endless stone roads, and unmatched military might, was born from practically nothing. Imagine waking up in a world where a single empire controls basically everything you know, all the way from the misty shores of Britain to the sun-scorched deserts of Egypt. Their engineering was so incredibly advanced that their aqueducts are literally still standing today. And their laws? Well, they're still shaping the lives of millions of us. But this isn't just some triumphant success story. It's an absolutely fascinating look at ambition, power, and ultimately total collapse.
When you look out over the bustling Roman Forum, you see these towering columns and thousands of citizens just going about their daily lives bathed in that beautiful golden sunlight. And seeing that, you really have to ask yourself, how on earth did one tiny, singular farming village manage to conquer the entire known world? What was the secret sauce to their massive success? And what, in the end, actually brought the mightiest superpower in human history completely to its knees?
So we're going to trace over 1,200 years of epic human triumph and tragedy today. Our roadmap is simple. We'll start with the birth of Rome, look at forging a superpower, dive into the Golden Age, analyze the fall of Rome, and finally wrap up with the eternal legacy.
All right, let's kick things off right at the beginning with Section 1, the birth of Rome, from legends to the Republic.
If we move through the deep, misty Italian forests, we can trace Rome's origins way back to 753 BC. Now, you might know the famous myth. It tells this wildly dramatic story of twin brothers Romulus and Remus. Legend says they were abandoned as babies and raised by a she-wolf right near the Tiber River. After a massive fight, Romulus actually kills his brother and names this brand new city after himself. It's a fantastic story, right? But archaeologists tell us it's a bit more practical than that. Rome was actually founded by small, everyday farming communities. They just happened to pick an absolutely perfect spot. The river gave them fresh water and great trade routes, while the surrounding hills gave them a natural fortress. Now, early on, Rome was ruled by kings, but in 509 BC, everything flipped. The Romans got completely fed up with absolute monarchs, kicked out their last king, and decided to create something entirely new.
And that brings us to their first major game changer, the Roman Republic. Just picture this magnificent marble hall, with senators in crisp white togas passionately debating by torchlight. This was a monumental shift towards shared power. Instead of one single guy holding all the cards, elected officials actually had to work together. And this revolutionary system, it gave them this incredible foundation of political stability, which honestly helped Rome become stronger than they had ever been before.
Moving right along to Section 2, forging a superpower, the Punic Wars, and beyond.
Once their political foundation was locked in, Rome's expansion was just relentless. But it definitely wasn't easy. They faced some unbelievable challenges, the biggest one being their mega rival, Carthage. These two powerhouses clashed in three absolutely brutal conflicts known as the Punic Wars. You've probably heard of the brilliant Carthaginian general Hannibal. He famously shocked the entire world by literally marching massive war elephants straight over the freezing, snowy Alps just to invade Italy. Wow. Despite suffering devastating, bloody losses right on their home turf, the Romans flat-out refused to give up. Eventually, a Roman general named Scipio took the fight straight down to North Africa, forced Hannibal to retreat, and totally destroyed Carthage. With their biggest rival wiped off the map, Rome's highly disciplined, shining legions just exploded across 3 continents, conquering Greece, Egypt, Spain, and Gaul.
The crazy thing here is that by conquering the entire Mediterranean basin, the Romans built an absolute monopoly on the region. They essentially looked out at this vast, massive body of water and just confidently said, Mare Nostrum. That translates to our sea. Just think about that level of confidence. Literally no other power could even stand in their way.
But, with immense wealth comes unchecked ambition. That takes us to Section 3, the Golden Age, dictators, emperors, and Pax Romana.
To really get this shift, we have to talk about Julius Caesar. The guy rode into battle a total hero, conquering Gaul and massively expanding Rome's territory. But the Senate, they were terrified of his growing influence and ordered him to stand down. Well, Caesar wasn't having it. He made the incredibly fateful decision to cross the Rubicon River with his loyal soldiers, which immediately sparked a massive civil war. He crushed his enemies, became dictator of Rome, and actually rolled out some major reforms, like fixing the calendar. But that lingering fear that he secretly wanted to be a king, It was just too much for the Republic. In a scene straight out of a Hollywood movie, on March 15, 44 BC, the infamous Ides of March, Caesar was brutally assassinated in the dark shadows of the Senate floor by his own peers. But here's the irony. Instead of saving the Republic, those 20-something dagger thrusts just plunged Rome into absolute chaos.
Out of the fiery ashes of that civil war rose Caesar's adopted son Octavian. He ended up defeating all of his rivals, and in 27 BC, he stood proudly on the temple steps to declare a totally new era. He took the name Augustus and became the very first Roman emperor. And honestly, it was a brilliant move. It kicked off what we call the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. For almost 2 entire centuries, the empire experienced this glorious golden age stability. Trade was just booming across Europe, Africa, and Asia, and this vast, perfect network of stone roads connected even the furthest provinces.
And during this golden age, Roman engineering hit some seriously staggering heights. 50,000. That is the capacity of the breathtaking Colosseum. To put that in perspective, that's the size of a modern Major League Baseball stadium. Imagine dramatic, cinematic sunlight flooding the arena, while tens of thousands of screaming citizens gathered to watch these visceral gladiator battles and wild animal hunts. It was this ultimate epic flex of Rome's immense wealth, their incredible innovation, and, let's be real, their pretty ruthless power.
But strolling through those vibrant, bustling markets, we really have to remember the stark contrast in daily Roman life. While the wealthy elite were living it up in these sprawling, luxurious villas lined with colorful mosaics and gorgeous private gardens, the reality for the poor was grim. Most regular citizens were squeezed into these towering, super dangerous apartment buildings that were just crowded, incredibly noisy, and constantly at risk of catching fire. This massive wealth inequality, it was like a quiet, hidden fracture slowly cracking the foundation of the empire.
And those cracks eventually widened. Let's look at Section 4, the fall of Rome, the collapse of a titan.
You see, Rome didn't just fall overnight. It was broken down by this overwhelming, toxic mix of internal rot and external pressure. You had widespread corruption totally poisoning the government, and powerful generals who were too busy fighting each other to actually defend the state. To pay for all these endless civil wars, the government slapped heavy taxes and crippling inflation on the people, which just broke the back of the ordinary citizen. Then, add in the relentless waves of flaming arrows from barbarian tribes attacking the borders. Ultimately, the empire had simply become way too massive for anyone to govern effectively.
You can actually track this devastating fall right on our timeline. By AD 285, Emperor Diocletian realizes, okay, this empire is way too big for one guy. So he splits it into an eastern and a western half. And sure, it helped temporarily, but it totally shattered their overall unity. Fast forward to AD 330, and Emperor Constantine moves the capital entirely to the east, over to Constantinople. As that eastern half grew richer and stronger, the west was just sort of left there to rot. Finally, the inevitable happens. In AD 476, with his city literally burning, the last Western Roman emperor abandons his throne. The Western Empire, which had dominated for centuries, was officially dead.
But the story doesn't end there. As the smoke clears, we arrive at our final section, the eternal legacy, Rome's enduring impact. It's incredible to think about, but the echoes of ancient Rome are literally shaping your daily life right now. Think about it. The Latin language is the absolute foundation for French, Spanish, Italian, and it influenced countless words that you and I speak in English every day. Roman legal principles, they still form the bedrock of global justice systems today. Their crazy advanced aqueduct-inspired engineering gave us the blueprints for modern infrastructure. And maybe most importantly, their whole early experiment with the Roman Republic directly shaped the democratic freedoms that so many of us enjoy today. Just read this quote on the screen with me. Power can build magnificent cities. Wisdom can create lasting peace. But corruption, division, and unchecked ambition can destroy even the strongest empire. That right there perfectly captures the duality of Rome. Their history is an absolute masterclass in human achievement, a stunning testament to what discipline and engineering can accomplish. But it also stands as this stark, dark warning. No matter how high your gleaming marble columns reach, internal division and corruption will rot the foundations of even the strongest society. So as the warm, golden sun sets over the timeless silhouette of the Colosseum, I really want to leave you with this thought. Rome's story shapes us every single day. Their greatest victories and their worst mistakes are totally woven into the fabric of our modern world. But when we look at our own global superpowers today, with all the political divisions, the economic challenges, the massive scale, you have to ask, Are we repeating Rome's ancient mistakes? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring the stories that shaped our world and never stop asking the big questions.